Hello everyone, you've made it to Module 3 and now we're going to talk about equations, different ways we can enter equations and equations that are already part of the Excel library. So you remember Mrs. Sullivan's art class. We're going to do some work with this. Before we do, I want to talk about titles of equations and actual equations. So if I want to say add 4 to 5, I just type that in and you'll notice that the sentence add 4 to 5 comes in. Or if I just type 4 plus 5, again I just type that in and I see 4 plus 5. If I want Excel to actually do the math, I have to indicate to it an equal sign first. So equals 4 plus 5. That equal sign is telling Excel, I'm giving you an equation and I want you to actually do something with it. Hit enter and you'll see that it gives me a 9, which is 4 plus 5. So the really most important part here, I'm going to put it down here, all right? Use an equal sign at the beginning if you want Excel to complete the calculation. So the first thing we're going to do is just look at how do we add stuff together. Suppose that I want to know total points for each student. So I make a new column, it's called total points. And for Ron Pem, I'm going to go ahead and just add his 4 grades together. So he had a 100 plus an 80 plus a 98 plus an 87. Now that's fine. We can say equals, so Excel will do the calculation for us, and then we can pick each number and write them out and hit enter. However, if we had, instead of 4 projects, 100 projects, this would be kind of painful for us because we'd have to type out 100 different numbers. Another option, instead of using the actual number, is to use the cell reference. The nice thing about the cell reference is you're going to actually say, use the number in this cell. The bad thing about that is if you change the number in the cell, it will change the calculation. Actually, that's not even a bad thing because sometimes that's what you want. Notice what I'm going to do is start with an equal sign. And now instead of typing 98, I'm going to click on the cell B4 because that's where the 98 is. Then a plus sign. Then click on C4 plus, click on D4 plus, click on E4, hit enter, and now I have that sum. Even that can be time consuming if we have 100 different projects to look at, because that's 100 different pieces we have to click on. So from here, what we could do is use the built-in sum function in Excel. So it looks like equals SUM, open parenthesis. Now notice the picture, it's got the word number 1, comma number 2. Basically you want to have the input, everything that it's going to add together. Instead of typing this out, we're going to use our cursor, click on the first grade, and scroll over until we get to all the grades. Now this is really much nicer when we have a large list because we just click on the first one and scroll until we get to the last one. Close your parenthesis, hit enter, and you've got your sum. So if we do that again, equals sum, open parenthesis, do this, and hit enter. Okay. If I double click on that cell, the equation will come back, so if I want to edit it, I can. If I single click on it, the equation does not show up here, but it does show up at the address bar on top, and you can edit up here if you want. Okay. Now, suppose that I didn't have just 5 students, but I had 500 students. Going through and clicking equals sum over and over again would be a trouble. So instead of doing that, what we can do is say, hey, here's my equation. I want to use the same equation, but I want it to scroll down as each student goes down. So I can click on it with the data value showing. Notice that a small black box appears in the corner here. I'm going to put my cursor right on top of it until my cursor goes from a large white square to a smaller black square. Once my cursor is the smaller black square, I'm going to grab a hold of it, and scroll down. Now you'll notice I've got a value here now in my F7. If I click on it, it's the same function, the sum function, only it went down B7 and E7. The nice thing about this, if I take this and scroll all the way down, it'll keep using the sum function. And notice it's got B8 to E8, down here it's B10 to E10, and it keeps going. When you drag down, the cells will drag down with you. If you do not want the cells to drag down, you put dollar signs in front of the letter and the number. So notice I've got the dollar signs here. So now if I drag it down, it still had B10. This one still has B10. So with the dollar signs, when you drag it down, the numbers and the numbers don't change as you come down. Now the sum function is one of the functions that is preloaded in Excel, which is super useful for us. We're going to use a lot of functions. Some of them you just want to know what they look like. Some of them you want to just look up when you need them. Right here you see this little F, this little italic F with X, and the little box comes up and says Insert Function. Anytime you want a function, you can click on this, and you'll see different functions come up. You'll notice I've recently used the norm inverse function, so you'll look at this later in the class. If you double click on the function, it gives you a graphical user interface to fill out. For example, if I look up average, so I want to know not just the total points the student has, but the average grade for each student, I can go to this box. Up here at the top, this is where I'm going to search. I look for average, so I can type in average and click Go. Average is the first thing that comes up, and it explains to me what it's solving for. So returns the average, the arithmetic mean. Notice below this we have other average functions. These are for other things in Excel that we're not going to get at. So we just want the normal average, A-V-E-R-A-G-E. So you click OK. Notice it has number 1, and here we've got cells B3 through F3 already highlighted. I don't want this because I don't want to include F3. F3 is the total points, and I only want to include the project points. So I'm going to get rid of all of these and just highlight from B3 through E3. Now this number 2, don't worry about that. We're not going to put anything in there. We hit OK, and we have our average. If you don't feel like going through that and you remember that the function is called average, you can type equals A-V-E-R-A-G-E, open parenthesis, then highlight the numbers you want to average together and hit enter. To find the rest, I'm going to click on the one that already has the function in it. Go to the little black box in the corner, click it, and drag it down. Alright, I want to give you a list of helpful functions to know. They are sum. I'm just going to type it as S-U-M. Remember, in Excel, when you want it to do the work, you're going to have to put an equal sign first. Average, which is just average like that. You can find a maximum value, and that's MAX. A minimum value, MIN. All right. So for any of these that I want to actually calculate, I have to put an equal sign in front of them. For example, suppose I want to know what is the maximum of all of the Project 2 grades. So I'm going to go in cell C8 and type equals MAX, open parenthesis, highlight all of the Project 2 grades, close my parenthesis, and hit enter. This gives me the maximum value for Project 3. So I'm going to put this here. Max value, min value. If I want to know the minimum value for Project 2, I click in here, equals MIN, open parenthesis, go down, close parenthesis, hit enter. Now I have the minimum value. If I want to know what was the average grade for everything in Project 2, I click equals average, add that all together, close, hit enter. All right, so that's your basic functions. So remember, use an equal sign in front if you want to calculate. You can use the addition symbols or the subtraction symbols. If you want to multiply, you can use the star symbol. If you want to divide, you can use the slash symbol. If you want the square root of something, you do SQ, let me do it over here, SQRT. Now I'm going to format this so we can see that. So square root is SQRT. Right? If you need to do anything with an exponent or to a power, you use a caret. So a power, you're going to use a caret. If you have any questions, let your instructor know.